Friends, Sleepy here, and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Playlist. It's Friday, so of course you guys know what that means. Time for me to share with you guys the games I have been playing during the week. I'll let you guys know my thoughts and opinions on these games, whether I think you guys should check them out or not. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions if you have played them before, and I want to hear what games you guys are playing because I do get great ideas of games to check out, hearing about the games you guys play. And I really appreciate everyone who's been sharing the games they're playing with me lately because I have got a nice little list going of games to eventually check out. And if you guys have any recommendations on a game you think I should try out, let me know. I'm always looking for recommendations on games to try out. And I play games all the way from Atari 2600 all the way up until Xbox One. So I have a huge variety of consoles to choose from. So feel free to share any games you think I might enjoy checking out. So I got 4 games to share with you guys this week, and 2 of them I actually beat, and then 2 new games I had just started playing. So I'll start off with the first game here. It's Xbox 360 title, but I'm playing on my Xbox One, and I finally beat it, as it's a fairly short game, and that was Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, which I have the digital version I got for free on my Xbox account since I have an Xbox Live Gold, so I've been playing that on Xbox One X, and I love it because it's been enhanced. It's a really cool game, very short though. You can beat it like under 10 hours if you're trying to max and do everything like I did and 100% it, which I did. I'm only missing 1 achievement in the game, otherwise I have all the rest, even the couple secret ones which are just related to the story, but overall, a really fun game in the Far Cry series. Highly recommend you guys check it out. So the basic story is there's like a dystopian future. It's like 2007 after like the nuclear war, and that's when this game takes place. And they've created cyber soldiers, which are like super, like cyborg type soldiers that are fighting wars and stuff. And you play as Rex, which is voiced by Michael Biehn. So it has his likeness. Obviously, it's a first-person shooter, so you don't see his face, but you see what he looks like though in the comic book like cutscenes that they have. You know, they don't do any real time stuff. It's all in comic book, which I really like. It's really cool, done really well. But the voice acting is awesome, and Michael Biehn is one of my favorite 80s actors, and just really cool too because he was in the Terminator, he was in Aliens, The Rock. Like, it was all kinds of great movies that he was in over the years, and I really like that he's in the game and does the voice work in this, so it's awesome. So you play as him, the main character Rex, and your mission is to find out why this Colonel Sloan, who is basically the guy that trained you as a cyber commando, went rogue, and you go to this unnamed island to discover what the hell he's up to, and that's where like the story takes place. And you guys know I don't like to ruin story or anything for you, but it is awesome. It's basically like an 80s action flick that you can play, and there's a lot of references to stuff like um, Rex has a red eye on him, which is obviously like a reference to Terminator movies. He actually has the way the visuals look in the game, it looks like you're like a Terminator. He actually has a vision mode that you can turn on to pinpoint where enemies are, and it's like being a Terminator and having that vision. So if you guys have watched any of the Terminator movies, you obviously saw how they were able to scan things and stuff, and so that's basically where they got their idea for that. But there's also references to other movies like Predator. There's to the Ninja Turtles. Like there's a reference in there that's pretty cool, and just all kinds of cool little Easter eggs like Commando, Scarface. Like it's just crazy seeing all the little hints to classic 80s films that are in this game, and it's just awesome. The dialogue is hilarious, the humor is crude and great, and it's definitely not politically correct humor for today. Definitely people would be offended at some of the jokes in the game, but I just love the game. I thought it was awesome, especially the opening like video for this game just really set the bar for like, oh yeah, this game's going to be awesome, because I hadn't played it in years, played a little bit and then just kind of forgot about it. And when I bought this Far Cry compilation to get that physically on my Xbox 360, I knew I wanted to play it eventually, and I had just beat Far Cry 2 this year, so I decided, I don't want to jump into a full-blown long Far Cry game because they take a long time. I'm like, oh yeah, I could play that Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon because I know it's like a 5 to 10 hour game if you do everything in it, and so that's what I did. And I decided I wanted to 100% the game and do everything, which is there's collectibles to find in the game, which they have old VHS tapes to find. They've got old tube TVs that you find, and then they also have these notes you can find. What's really cool and I like about the collectibles is that if you do enough stuff in the game, you can actually buy maps, and it'll put all the collectible locations on the map for you, and you can just highlight them, put a waypoint marker on it, and you can easily find all the collectibles. So that really did help out. The map is pretty decent size for being a short game. and has broke up into different areas, and you got hills, and you got rivers, and you got the big ocean around it, and you got a nice variety of animal life. And there is an achievement and a trophy for like killing all the different animals in the game, because there's like cyber snakes, and they got cyber tigers, and they got like cyber sharks and cyber goats, and just all kinds of big like ostrich looking things. It's just crazy how many different characters, like enemies that are animals in the game that you can fight that'll randomly attack you and randomly attack the enemies. And you have good guys, which are scientists, and then you have bad guys that are at least a mega force, and there are other cyber commandos that you fight in the game, and they're with that Sloan guy. And so those are who you mainly fight, and you'll have your scientist dude that'll run around the world as well that you can help. And there are several different like command centers, like little bases that are around the world, and those are taken over by the enemy. But if you go in and take them over, you can actually have your good scientist guy go in, and it'll change from being red to green, and then your guys will populate it, and it actually unlocks bonus mission stuff, because there are some side missions to do besides the main story, because the main story only has 7 main missions to do total, but then there are 8 missions where you rescue people, and then there are 8 missions where you kill certain creatures and kill things or person or something, like basically like mercenary contracts, and you have to do them a certain way, which is really cool. So like I said, there's not a ton of content in the game, but it's enough to warrant playing through, because this was basically like an Xbox Live arcade game, so they only have like 400 points for the achievements wise, but it's still a fun little bonus game. It's got a great variety of weapons too. Like your main pistol you start out with basically looks like a RoboCop's gun, and obviously they were inspired by RoboCop. But there's some sniper rifles, there's shotguns, obviously the pistol I talked about, there's a bow and arrow, there's a minigun, there's it's a really sweet weapon I don't want to really ruin, but you unlock late in the game, and it's just really cool. And then also what's nice about the weapons is you can actually modify them with the money that you earn by killing enemies and doing missions and stuff, and you can use that money to upgrade your weapons and actually make them more powerful, like have bigger clip sizes or do different damage, or maybe make it into a laser weapon. So I really like that aspect that you can upgrade your weapons and stuff, but you also can upgrade Rex too, and make him stronger. And that just happens automatically by, as you level up, you earn experience, and you have from level 0 to level 30. When you're level 30, you're maxed out on everything. You don't have to spend any money on it. The game does it for you as you unlock stuff. But it's really good to kill enemies, because that it unlocks your abilities and makes you stronger. And it definitely is needed as you get further in the game, because the enemies do get tougher and stronger, and so you need to upgrade yourself too if you want to be able to not have as much difficulty as you go through the story. Of course, you have different difficulty levels. I just played through on normal and beat it, but it was fun. The final mission was my absolute favorite. I loved it. I can't ruin it for you guys, but let me just tell you that last mission that I played through was it was worth waiting to play through the whole game. It was just that amazing and awesome. I have all the achievements in the game except for one, which is to upgrade all your weapons. I just have to grind through, kill some enemies and stuff, and unlock more money so I can buy the last couple attachments and stuff I need, and I'll have that achievement unlocked. And I do want to let you know, though, this is one of those games that once you do beat the main story, you can go and just keep playing and doing stuff. So if you missed any side missions or whatever, you can still go back and finish those and complete them, go after any collectibles and stuff. So if you want to just burn through the whole story real quick, you can. But I find it more enjoyable to level up my character by doing all the side stuff and then tackling the main story. I do a little mission, and then do some side stuff, then do another mission. That kind of way is how I played it. But definitely worth picking up. If you guys want a physical copy, the only way to get it is on Xbox 360 in the Far Cry 3. There's Far Cry compilation, because this was released on PS3. However, you only got Far Cry 2 and 3. Blood Dragon was a stupid code they put in the PS3 version. I don't know why they couldn't include it like they did in the 360 version, but unfortunately, the only way to get it physically is this compilation on 360. Otherwise, it's always digital. So I'm glad I got this. And like I said, it's backwards compatible on the Xbox One, so the game really upscales really well, looks great, visuals are awesome, just has a fun story, great music. Glad to have this game beat, and I will eventually start Far Cry 3. I'm just not sure yet, as, I'm not sure if I want to keep playing first-person shooters or maybe jump into something else, but had a blast, and I think you guys should definitely check out Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. If you love 80s action movies, you will love playing it. It's so awesome. Tons of references to 80s movies, and it's just a great experience overall. You will not be disappointed. Trust me, check it out. And now, move on to some Game Boy Advance title. This first one here, I finally beat. Was a hell of a time. I actually beat it like right before I went to work this week, and that was Donkey Kong Country for Game Boy Advance. Now, I had beat this on Super Nintendo, and I beat it on Super Famicom more than once for both of those. But I never had beat the Game Boy Advance version, and I decided I wanted to start all over again and beat it. And I finally beat it this week. I was stuck on the last level before the second to final boss, and it was this platform peril. I think that's the name of it, where you had to jump between these different platforms that would fall after a certain time, and there was big crusher enemies that you had to throw barrels on, and I just was having such a difficult time with it, so I stopped playing it for a while, went back to it that day, and only on my second try I actually beat it. Then I beat the next boss, and then I beat the final boss and beat the game. Now, I did not 100% the game or 102% it. I got 67% when I beat it, but I was just happy to finally have this one beat, as it's a fantastic game. Now, I really like these Game Boy Advance versions are not just simple ports. They actually add stuff to the game. Like, they've added some new mini games, so you have Funky isn't just his Funky Flights where he brings you around the different worlds. He actually has a fishing mini game, and you can unlock stuff that way. And then Candy Kong is no longer for saving like she was in the original version on Super Nintendo. She actually now has like a DDR type of dancing game. And I didn't really play that too much as I'm not a huge DDR fan, and I just couldn't get the button prompts like the time right, so I just kind of didn't play those, but there is that in the game. I love that they changed some of the boss fights and made them a little bit more difficult, like the Stinger with the big Queen Bee. Like before, you just battled her, but in this version, they added some little changes to it, like where she'll have some extra little bees flying around to make it a little bit more difficult, or the naughty beaver has a little bit different strategy to him. So I really like that they changed up some of the stuff and made the game have a few extra bonus things for people who played the original version, because that's obviously what it was, like kind of like a nod for us that had played it before, to go back and warrant playing the game through again, because there are some subtle changes to it. They also added some other collectibles and stuff. And just overall, they did a really fantastic job. Now, of course, the graphics aren't as beautiful as the Super Nintendo version is, but of course, this was a Game Boy Advance title. It was made for the little Game Boy screen, so, you can give it some slack because of that, but it still does look pretty good. Music is still phenomenal. There are some original tracks in the game besides the original ones. The music doesn't sound as great as a Super Nintendo because obviously it's different, hardware, but it still does a pretty good job and does really fun. Definitely think you guys should check out Donkey Kong Country on Game Boy Advance. A wonderful game. If you loved it on the Super Nintendo, you'll love it on Game Boy Advance. Great port, and I'm glad to finally have that beat. And since I played this one, I finally was able to get into Donkey Kong Country 2 for Game Boy Advance. And of course, this one is just like the first Game Boy Advance one, with the same visuals and everything. But of course, they have improved upon stuff that they did in the original version. There are a couple things I didn't like about it. I didn't like that they changed some of the enemy sounds when you kill enemies. I always liked that when they went, oh, I like that noise. And so they changed some of the Kremling's deaths and sounds. But it's just, kind of a little nitpicky thing. But it's something I kind of miss the old sounds, but still done fantastic. There is some new stuff in this game too. Like there's a time attack mode, and you can race another player and going through levels as quickly as possible. And then reading on the back, it talks about that there is some new mini games with Funky Flights and Bag a Bug, which I haven't got to those, so I'm just in the very beginning of the game, the very first world. But it's really cool. Another thing too I didn't mention is that these Game Boy Advance games, they actually added little cutscenes to the beginning and end of the game to give you guys like a more story and get players into what the actual story is, because the other ones were pretty basic, like you just read, like, oh, they stole Donkey Kong's banana horde type of thing, where in this one there's a cool little intro cutscene where you get to see Donkey Kong get captured by the Kremlings and them going through, and it gives you actually a little bit of story to the game, which the first original versions were obviously lacking, which is kind of text. So I did like that subtle changes a little added to this. Obviously, this has extra stuff added to the game that wasn't in the original version of Super Nintendo, and I really like that. And it's just a fantastic game that I'm going to have fun beating. And once I beat this one, I'll eventually go through and beat Donkey Kong Country 3 on Game Boy Advance, because I want to go through the whole series. But definitely recommend. You guys got a Game Boy Advance, you should pick these up and play. Now, I've been playing these on my Game Boy player that I have on my GameCube, because I like being able to play them on the big screen, the big TV and everything. And it's just awesome. I think you guys should check it out. It's a great companion piece. If you beat this original trilogy on the Super Nintendo, pick up the Game Boy Advance version because they are different enough to warrant playing through again because of the little stuff they added to it. And it's great if you've never played them before. This is a great way to experience. And if you had played them before, like I did, this is also another great way to re-experience the games again and give you an excuse to play through them again. So definitely check out Donkey Kong Country 2 on Game Boy Advance. And our final one here is another one for Xbox One. And I was just looking for a random game to check out, and I picked up this one, which I recently picked up, and you guys will see it in my next pickups video. And that's a game called The Persistence, which this is a first-person horror game. Didn't really know anything about this. I was just checking out GameFly. I always check them out every week to see if there's any sales, and this game was on sale. I don't remember how much I paid for it, maybe like 12 or 13 bucks. It just looked kind of cool. I checked out some videos, and it's a first-person horror game. This originally started out as a PlayStation 4 VR game, but they eventually released it here on Xbox One, and it's pretty cool. I'm very early in the game, though. I've only been playing it for a little while, and basically the story is, I can't remember the lady's name that you play as now, which is really not that important, but basically, like, you wake up on the ship, you guys are trying to get home, and you find out that you guys are stuck near a black hole, and like a whole crew is dead, and you're dead as well. Only your ship has this ability to replicate bodies and put your mind in that body. Well, it's also replicating these mutant creatures of your crew, and they're going around, and that's who you actually have to fight in the game. And there's some lady that is helping you through the world and giving you the story and stuff, and then you go from there, and you're trying to get basically figure out what's going on, get the ship fixed, and then get back home to Earth. Is like the basic idea of the story. Now, what I really like about this is that the ship's layout is actually randomized, like a roguelike type thing where if you die, you don't lose, it's not like you lose everything. I mean, you'll lose like your guns and stuff you have, but you'll keep your experience, anything you did completed objectives wise, and money that you earned, and these different stem cells that you use for upgrading stuff, and then you go into a new body, and then the ship actually reconfigures itself. So I thought that was pretty cool because I didn't know about that. And the ship was set up a certain way. I died, got revived, and then the ship was reset and set up differently. And every time you play, it's different, and you actually have to get to certain parts and progress through certain levels. Otherwise, it'll restart over when you start the game over. It basically treats you as if you died, and you start over, and you can lose, if you had weapons and stuff. So you definitely have certain parts you have to get through in order to save. Now, I kind of wish it had a better save feature where I could just save whenever I wanted to, because I was playing this game, just having fun with it, and then the wife wanted to watch a movie together, and I told her I've been putting it off, and I said, okay, I'll watch it. And I didn't find a way to save, so I just ignored it. And then after we watched the movie and went back to it, I found out I had to start over. And at that point, it was so late. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to go through this. But it's interesting. I like it. The enemies are unique. They're these weird mutant creatures. And so far, I'm liking the game. And it just was a budget title. But I think you guys should check it. I'll read you guys some stuff here in the back. It says, can you survive the Persistence, which is actually the name of the ship, the Persistence. Fight to survive in this brutal first-person horror game. Explore, gather resources, and battle your way into the depths to save the ship and make the jump home. Stalk, evade, and fight the mutant horde. Upgrade your abilities and create an arsenal of weapons. So I really like is you guys can craft weapons in this, which kind of reminded me of Prey. You also can craft resources to use. And this is one of those games where you can't just go running guns blazing because you will die quickly. These enemies hit hard and you can die fast. You have a couple offensive abilities. Like the first thing is you have this ability to put out a shield in front of you to absorb enemies' bullets or damage. And if you can parry at the right time, you can open up for attacks and you can melee guys. But you also have different weapons at your disposal that you can find. Like there's some guys that have handguns, and I've used those on them. But there's a really cool weapon. It's awesome. There's this gravity gun where you can pick up an enemy and you can slam their bodies up and down and smack them against walls and stuff to kill them. I had a lot of fun with that. And then there's other weapons too. And of course, I haven't discovered everything in the game because I'm so new into it. I'm still in that first world. But I'm really glad that I decided to give this one a chance. And it's a fairly cheap title, like a under $20 game online. Now, locally, I've never seen this game before, and I still haven't seen it, so obviously, this is one of those small print run games that I've talked about in my vlog about, there's print run games that are small, And if you don't pick them up now, you might not get them. This is definitely probably going to be one of those, since it was not a big blockbuster game. But still has a pretty decent story. The graphics are done well. The visuals are nice. The atmospheric music and stuff. It really pulls you into the horror aspect of the game, especially if you have the headphones on. There are some freaky parts in it where somebody's like moaning, or like a creature like just kind of jumped out of nowhere. So there are some jump scares occasionally, like, holy fuck, I didn't even see that guy there. And it's one of these games where it's best sometimes to use stealth, because you can actually go behind enemies and kill them from behind. Where if you get a whole bunch of these enemies all together, it can be difficult to attack them, because this is not one where you're not a Rambo and you're not just going to run through and knock down the enemies like that. And you have to be careful, because there's only so much resources available at your disposal, and healing packs and stuff you find in the game. And it's just overall a really fun first-person horror game that I'm really enjoying, and kind of gives me like a little bit of Dead Space vibes to it. And so if you guys ever played that, I think you guys would enjoy this one. Definitely give the Persistence a try. Like I said, this also was released on PS4 as a VR game. I don't know if there's a non-VR version of it on PlayStation 4 or not, but I did hear when I was looking stuff about that it started out as a VR game, and then they released it on Xbox One, and that's the one I'm playing, and I'm loving it. I definitely think you guys should check it out. Now, we'll do our quick little recap like we do every week. I talked about Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. This is an awesome first-person shooter set in the Far Cry series. It takes place in 2007. You get to play as a cyber commando. It's basically like a playable 80s action movie with all kinds of references to 80 movies and stuff. Great humor and everything. Main character is voiced by Michael Biehn. Fantastic actor. You just have to experience it. You can beat the game and 100% everything in under 10 hours, so it's not a game that's going to take up a lot of your time, but it's really cool. If you guys want to get a physical version, the only way to get it physically is on the 360 in this Far Cry compilation, because it comes on its own disc. But definitely check it out if you're a fan of Far Cry series and never played Blood Dragon. Pick it up. You will not be disappointed. It is amazing. I also talked about the Donkey Kong Country games. I beat the first one for Game Boy Advance. I'm now playing the second one. These are more than just simple ports of the Super Nintendo versions. They actually add stuff to them. Like, they've tweaked the boss battles to make them a little more challenging. They've added new things to discover in the world. They have new collectibles, and they have messed around, changed some of the sounds and stuff, and changed some of the difficulty balancing, things like that. They're definitely worth playing through. If you're a veteran of playing this old series like I was, you'll feel right at home. If you've never experienced them before and you don't have a Super Nintendo, pick up the Game Boy Advance versions and play through them. They're fantastic games that are worth playing through, and I love playing them on my Game Boy Advance player on the big TV. Fantastic games. Check them out. And then, of course, we talked about The Persistence, which is a first-person horror game. You're on a ship. You are trying to discover what the hell's going on, get your ship repaired, and get back home. And along the way, you fight these crazy evil mutant things, and you have different ways to dispose of them. You got your stealth, and then sometimes you got to fight them. Crafting weapons and upgrades and resource management is all key to it. And it's just a wonderful horror game I think you guys should check out. So let me know your guys' opinion if you played any of these 4 titles. I'd love to hear what games you guys are currently playing. If you have any recommendations on a game you think I should check out, please let me know, because you guys always do recommend really fun games. Want to thank you for watching. Take care. You guys have an amazing day, and Sleepy will see you guys next time.